We're back! What's up, Astro fans? We're talking Basebald with my brother Brian. I'm Brandon Del Castillo, and we have a lot to talk about. The off season has arrived. We had a really nice run there in the playoffs. We don't really want to get into Game 4, but a little later we might need to talk about some reasons why we've done some things. So
yeah.
Game 4 hurt, but man, what do you think of the Game 4?
A roller coaster, man. I was really having a good time there for a while, and then I wasn't having such a good time.
It was a blast until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then, but we'll see if maybe next year's team's going to look a little bit different, and talk about what the Astros have done so far this offseason. You want to go ahead and get everybody caught up on some of the things they did prior to the winter meetings?
Yeah, I think the big money acquisition, I guess, if you want to call it that, would be the qualifying offer to Kobe Rasmus, and he took it for $15.8 million. It's a one-year deal. It's a lot of money, but I think it gives us depth and flexibility for 1 year, and you're not committed long-term to him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thinks Kobe Rasmus is an all-star, but I think he does provide something in the clubhouse and that left-handed power bat.
Yeah.
Obviously, from the playoffs, we saw how important that was when he gets hot. So that'll be nice to still have that left-handed bat in the middle of the lineup, and you're not committed to him for 5 or 6 years down the road.
Yeah, there's no money to be had on the back end of this deal. There is no back end, so that's kind of good. And you have a very low payroll, so I don't think it really matters.
What about Hank Conger? What happened to him?
Well, he got traded to Miami, which I was kind of surprised that there was a big market for him, considering some of the other options that were out there, and considering he can't really throw people out.
Yeah, I'm surprised we got rid of him too. We just got cash considerations back. He did go to Florida. I think he went to Tampa Bay.
He went to Tampa?
Yeah, he went to Tampa.
Okay.
So he is in Florida. And then Jeff Luhnow had some tough decisions to make when it came down to tendering all the players this year. We had a lot of people up for arbitration, and so did Luhnow tender everybody? Did we bring everybody back?
We did not tender everybody. So we kind of had that tough spot where you have Evan Gattis and you have Chris Carter, and you can't really go a full season, I feel like, with both of them in the lineup doing what they do. When they struggle, it's really ugly. But especially when Carter struggles and doesn't do anything for 3 or 4 months, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And the power market was a flooded one.
Yeah.
And so we ended up non-tendering Chris Carter, and I think that was, after not being able to trade him, the right thing to do.
Yeah, Pedro Alvarez was out there, Mark Trumbo was out there,
Yeah.
Ike Davis. So a lot of people that had similar attributes as Chris Carter were all out there, and there wasn't I don't think a trade market. So
Didn't sound like it.
didn't sound like we wanted to pay $5 to $6 million for all those strikeouts this year. But we wish Chris Carter the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you want to give Singleton, I guess, one last chance with the Astros at the beginning of this season, and then you have AJ Reed on the horizon at some point. So you didn't want to commit that money to
Right.
Carter.
Right. And then we got rid of a fan favorite, Jed Lowry. He's been traded to the Oakland A's, and we were able to get back a relief pitcher, Brendan McCurry. Looks like he's got the mentality to maybe be a back end of the bullpen kind of guy. He doesn't have the rocket arm, but he can get up to about 93. Saved a bunch of games in college, and pitched really well his first year in pro ball. So maybe we got a steal there. Jed Lowry kind of getting rid of some cash, but nice to get possibly a usable piece for the bullpen down the road.
Yeah, I wasn't super excited about this deal. I understand wanting to save a little bit of money. If you've got Valbuena and you think that that's where you're going to go, and you've got Matt Duffy, who I guess is going to get some playing time. But I really thought that he was our best option at third base, and now he's not here anymore. So.
Right, that does leave a hole at third base. We don't know, the off season's not over, so we don't know what the Astros still have planned. You bring up third base, so let's touch on it now. I think Todd Frazier is a possibility. You have you have a need there. They have a need to kind of get rid of that, especially after the Aroldis Chapman fiasco for them.
Yeah.
It's going to be very costly. He's signed for 2 more years, 16 and 17. Todd Frazier, we're talking about. So that's a trade that seems to make sense from both sides. But in the winter meetings, the Astros did make some trades.
They did get some stuff done. Excuse me. They obviously the big trade is trading for Giles from Philadelphia to come in and presumably be your closer.
100 miles Giles.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that this kind of stuff, the heat, everything about him, I'm really excited about. To put at the back end, it was something that we were missing last year. We didn't have a hard thrower to come out of the pen. That we were really relying on Neshek and Harris and Gregerson, and now you kind of push those guys all back an inning, which is great. Gregerson becomes your 8th inning guy, and Neshek and Harris your 7th guys. I think it's something to be excited about, but the price was hefty.
It was very hefty. 2nd round pick Thomas Eshelman
From this year. Mm-hmm.
Number 1 overall pick from a couple years ago, Mark Appel, Vince Velasquez, Oberholzer, and another young pitcher, Araz. All go to the Phillies in exchange for Ken Giles, their closer, and Jonathan Araz.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not related.
Not related.
But someone who is being compared to possibly a Carlos Guillen type and might have a future 5 years down the road or so.
Yeah, he's a young kid.
He's 17. He's way far away, so we're not going to really know. But I'm curious as to whether the Astros really liked this kid, and so they changed the trade from Fisher to Appel just so they could get this guy thrown in the trade, or if there might have been something else that another team saw, wanted Fisher, and the Astros had to renegotiate with that.
Yeah, because the deal was done a few days prior, with Fisher being the main or the secondary piece after Vincent Velasquez, and that got changed to Appel, and nobody really knows exactly what happened there. And I think you're right. I think maybe they held Fisher out. Because there's interest from another team for another deal, maybe the third baseman, maybe a starting pitcher or something like that. And when you took Fisher out of that deal, the Phillies said, well, the only thing we really want is Appel. And the thing I didn't like about I don't mind trading Appel. I thought that he was worth trading. I think for the value of this trade, I don't know that it was a lot to give up.
You gave up a lot of your trade pieces that you had to make a Todd Frazier deal.
Exactly.
Later, which might make it harder to make a Todd Frazier deal now.
Yeah.
You throw Appel and Velasquez in the same deal for a closer.
I was surprised.
That's going to throw maybe 70 innings for you this year. I thought it was a little much, but there's no doubt the Astros are a better team for 2016, and they're really building a core nucleus that's going to have a 5-year window.
Yeah.
Keuchel, Altuve, Springer, Correa, Giles, McCullers. All these guys are going to be together for 5 years, and AJ Reed down the road. Hopefully hopefully he stays with the Astros. But they're really building a unit that can all stay together and be cohesive, and I think it's going to be a fun couple of years for Astros fans.
Yeah, and fans need to realize prospects are just that. We don't know if they're going to pan out. You also don't have room to play them all over the place. I mean, some of these guys just aren't going to be major league players. You don't know if Appel is ever really going to harness the talent that he has, if he has the mentality to do that. I think that's a question right now. But he's certainly very talented.
Well, what's left in the offseason? What's left for the Astros to do? I was looking over the 25-man roster that they might break spring training camp with, and it's right as of today. It kind of falls into place pretty easily. You have Keuchel, McHugh, McCullers, and Fires as your top 4. You've got Feldman as either your number 5 or a swing man. I think they'd rather have him be a long relief kind of guy for them, and go out and get that 5th starter. Maybe Scott Kazmir comes back, someone like that. Wei Yin Chen is out there, someone like that. A B/C level starter to slide in that 4 or 5 spot in the rotation.
Well, you locked up your bullpen. You re-signed Tony Sipp for 3 years. That's your left-handed specialist. So the bullpen is done. Feel really good about that. The lineup is in pretty good shape. Although, like we talked about, third base, I think you could upgrade there. And then you had brought up earlier, a backup catcher. What are we going to do there? Is it going to be Max Stassi, or do they want to do something else?
Yeah, I think at this point it's Max Stassi. Tyler Flowers was out on the market. He's signed with the Braves. So as far as your backup catcher goes, I think Max Stassi is your answer at this point, unless they're going to get him in that catcher in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
There, Willeen Rosario was out there, but I don't think anybody sees him as a defensive catcher. So your options are semi-limited.
Yeah.
You might be able to pull off a trade for a backup, but right now I think it's Max Stassi, and that really, making this team becomes extremely hard. It looks like someone like Preston Tucker maybe, or Matt Duffy gets knocked off of this team, and that's going to be it's a hard team to make, because you have Marwin Gonzalez now that can play all the positions. Jonathan Singleton's going to be given a shot at first base. I'd imagine he's given that, unless he's just horrible in spring training. They'll probably just go ahead and give him that first base and let him play for a month or two and see how he does.
Plan being that AJ Reed comes up eventually and takes that spot. But yeah, I'd like to see him come up and do well. I really do think it's his last shot with this club, though.
I agree. AJ Reed is waiting in the wings, who will be playing in AAA. Tyler White is also there. He's someone that could if he puts on a show, could possibly make this team. The spots are incredibly limited. I already given you the 5 starting pitchers, and the bullpen is set. The lineup is Altuve, Springer, Correa, Gaddis, Rasmus, Carlos Gomez, Valbuena.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think the Astros need to upgrade at DH?
Well, I think that's a spot they can upgrade. I don't think they need to. I think Gaddis is fine for this team. I think he fits in well. It's definitely a spot where they can upgrade. Gaddis was not a very good hitter last year. He did have the 27 home runs, which was his career high, but his on base and beyond the power, he did also have those triples, which added to that that slugging percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't expect Gaddis to get double-digit triples again.
Yeah.
But it's a hard team to make. You have your backup catcher. You have Marwin Gonzalez. I'd imagine Jake Marisnik is that 4th outfielder.
Definitely.
And then the fight is between Duffy, platooning at 3rd and 1st, helping out there with the left-handed Valbuena and Singleton, or Preston Tucker as your 5th outfielder. And I think at this point, Preston Tucker, as stated, does not make the team. You can always move Marwin Gonzalez out to the outfield. He showed he could play that last year. So I think Duffy becomes a more important role with playing 3rd and 1st as a right-handed batter.
Yeah, the thing I like about Tucker in this scenario, especially talking about DH, is that if Gaddis does struggle or is not consistent, you can platoon at DH with Tucker.
Right.
But yeah, that's there's not enough spots for everybody, and that's kind of what we've been trying to build towards for years now. We finally are in a spot to do that. So don't worry too much about the prospects. Yeah, it sucks to give up too much and pay a high price, but ultimately you're trying to build the team that we have right now, and we're still trying to build it. Jeff Luhnow said yesterday that we're not done.
And so, yeah, I think that they're not done, and so this could all change. But right now, I feel pretty comfortable with where they are. I'm sure they do too. But they're always looking to get better, and so we will keep you up to date with what happens in the rest of the off season. Before we go, I want to throw a quick shout out to one of our followers, Raylan Cudahy, who gave us this addition to our studio here at Basebald, and so thank you, Raylan, for that. It's very nice. So for my brother Brian, I'm Brandon. Let's go Stros!
Go Stros!
Talking baseball, Klazuski, Campanella, talking baseball. The man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber and the Nuke. They knew 'em all from Boston to